The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. At that time, Jesus told his disciples a parable. Can a blind man lead a blind man? Will they not both fall into a pit? A disciple is not above his teacher, but everyone, when he is fully taught, will be like his teacher. Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that is in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, "Brother, let me take out the speck that is in your eye," when you yourself do not see the log that is in your own eye? You hypocrites! First, take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take out the speck that is in your brother's eye. For no good tree bears bad fruit, nor again does a bad tree bear good fruit. For each tree is known by its own fruit. For figs are not gathered from thorns, nor are grapes picked from a bramble bush. The good man out of the good treasure of his heart produces good, and the evil man out of his evil treasure produces evil. For out of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaks. The Gospel of the Lord. Mungu ni wema kila wakati. Today being the 8th Sunday in ordinary time, the readings are very timely and in a way prepared us for the Lenten season that will be beginning this week. The last sentence in the reading itself. It says, "Do not praise a man or a woman before you hear him or her speak, for this is a test of men and women, or of a person." Do not praise a man or a woman before you hear him or her speak.
From the beginning of the first reading, he uses some imageries of figures. The first one he uses is a sieve.
What a sieve is, we use it to filter. And then the second one he also uses, the second image, is a vessel that the potter uses when he's making out a shape. Why does he use this image to describe a person's attitude? You are not going to know who I am if I don't speak, if I am quiet. But when I speak, you'll be able to tell if the kind of person I am is the kind of person you see. Because my speech reveals what is hidden in my heart, just like the gospel passage will say, that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. So it says before we praise people, we should weigh what they say. And the challenge this first reading put before us today is to ask ourselves, the words I speak or the things I say, do they uplift or do they wound or injure people? If my words does not uplift others, if my word does not build, if my word does not reconcile, bring communion, then it therefore means that my heart is not yet right with God. So it challenges us to look into our heart. What do we say? What do we contribute in the midst of people? Are there words that build up? Are there words that keep the community together, or words that divide? Are there words that bring healing, comfort, consolation to those in pain, or words that brings others down? So it's a question that the first reading is leaving with us. And when we go to the gospel reading, Jesus equally uses 3 short parables. The first one he mentioned, he began by asking a question. Can a blind man lead a blind man? The answer is no. because both of them, as Jesus said, they all fall into the pit. A Nigerian writer, which I suppose many of you might be familiar with, Chinua Achebe, he wrote something, the author of the Things Fall Apart. He said when he was a student in school, because those days they were being taught by white people. So he said most of the literature books he was reading, the depiction of Africa he saw in this literature does not match his own experience of Africa or where he grew up from, that they contradict each other. So one day in his class, he asked one of his professors, he said, why is it what is written in those books, in the literature books, does not match my own experience of Africa in which I grew up with? And his teacher, his professor, told him that we can only teach you what we know. We cannot teach you what we don't know. Maybe when you grow up, when you become a professor yourself, you can present a better image of your culture. And that is on the basis on which Jesus uses a parable. Can a blind man lead another blind man? It is very important to discern those we take as role models, those who teaches us, or those who teaches our children. What are they teaching our children? Are they teaching them the right values? Because a teacher can only teach as much as he or her knows. And that was the experience of Chinua Achebe. And later on, he will challenge himself to have a better representation of his own culture. Because those we learn from, those who teaches us, they have a very great influence in our lives. In fact, an American psychologist, John Watson, if I remember his name correctly, I read it a long time ago. He says that he can train a child into anything he wants that child to become. Anything. Because he said, if I want you to be a doctor, anything, I can, even to be a criminal, irrespective of the background of the child. He can train a child to become that. And that is to say that our teachers, those who lead us, those who guide us, they have a tremendous influence over the kind of person we become. And that is one of the big challenges we are facing in Europe today. Even in Kenya today, is gradually creeping in when our children are being taught that marriage is no longer what God has ordained it to be. You see, if you look at dictionary today, the definition of marriage today is no longer a relationship between a man and a woman. They'll say a relationship between two people, which means can either be a man and a woman, a man and a man, and a woman and a woman. That is the world we are living in. And that is what our children are being exposed to. So as parents, as leaders, what effort are we making to make sure that our children have a good guides, those who will bring them up in the right path? Because if we leave them in the hands of blind guides, they'll all be falling into the pit, as Jesus has said in the gospel. So it is very important to pay attention to those we entrust our children with, or to those we even listen to. Because in my country today, a lot of Christians are misled because of the kind of gospels they listen to. Prosperity gospel is one of the ones that is moving wave, especially in my country. You see a person leave his business and goes to stay in the church all through the day, all in the name of praying that he wants God to bless him or her. Meanwhile, the means through which God is going to bless him or her, he abandoned that means and go and stay in the church all day praying. God is also the author of work. God created us to work. And that is why when he created Adam and Eve, he asked them to name the things he has created. So we cannot pray, and then forget the aspect of work. We have to put them together. So the people we listen to, the people who guide us, are very important.